Panther, what up? That was Bryce Young's best game as a pro. Period. Full stop. Holy crap. Funny bunch, Panthers Post. Thanks for joining. Before I get started, make sure you check out Queen and Cotton. They're an independent, Carolina-based, Carolina-themed t-shirt company. And North Davidson, you can go right now if you wanted to celebrate the Carolina Panthers win against the Atlanta Falcons, who suck. You go there, use the promo code POST, P-O-S-T, number 10, and get 10% off your order. Get it right now. Holy crap. Holy freaking crap. Carolina Panthers sweep, not even gentlemen sweep the Atlanta Falcons. This time they win in their house with the dome open for the first time in multiple years. And they probably needed the dome open to let the flames of Bryce Young's cape just like somehow release because it was way too hot in Mercedes Superdome. Carolina Panthers win in overtime because of course they would, 30-27. And I'm telling you right now, I'm not wasting any time. I'm talking about Bryce Young. That's why I'm wearing his jersey. You may have noticed, you probably didn't, but I didn't have his jersey behind me for quite some time in the last couple of episodes because he just had pedestrian numbers. And I don't know what it was, but I'll tell you this. The Panthers are one team you could almost guarantee they read those mean tweets. Kind of like how Jimmy Fallon does this thing. We have celebrities read mean tweets about themselves. The Panthers, I don't know what it is. Maybe they do it during practice. But it seems like they have Bryce, Xavier Leggett, Dave Canales, Chuba Hubbard, all these guys, the offensive line, to read their mean tweets. Maybe sometimes even at halftime. Maybe Ejiro Evero read some mean tweets at halftime because some of the adjustments made were ridiculous. But this Panthers team, they must be reading the criticism. You don't pass deep. What happens? Bryce Young, 448 yards, 3 touchdowns. You know, just what was that? That's more yardage in one game that he's had in like 3-4 weeks. 3 touchdowns, no picks. Bryce, he can't see over the line. Just Bryce Young, how many yards rushing? Okay, -1 yards rushing. But Bryce fighting receivers, throwing downfield, throwing with velocity, throwing with accuracy, throwing with poise, throwing with confidence. I don't know what it is, but something about him playing in the Mercedes Superdome, he just comes alive. He's a different man. He transforms into the Carolina Reaper. Bryce Young, maybe he watches Panthers Post because my latest episode was literally, if the Panthers lose today, it's going to go two ways. Is Bryce the future, and then why and why not? Why is he gone? Why is he not gone? I didn't even talk about what happens if they win. Well, I'm going to talk about that now, but myself, everybody, every single person, fan, analyst, whatever you want to say, kind of putting it out there on X, which again, not a real place, is Bryce the guy in general? Like, is he even a starting quarterback? That was how I started the episode earlier this week. If they lose, is Bryce Young's career as a starting quarterback in the NFL kaput, done? The lack of stature, the noodle arms, the floppy, the duck egg type passes, you know, just everything. Like, is he built for the NFL mentally, physically, playbook wise, just everything? Can he stack up with some of the greats out there? You know, like even at times Tua Tagovailoa was outplaying him at times. Drake May, who I talked about in the last episode, just ripping passes in his second year in the NFL, looking like a season's pro. Bryce Young looking like he's a rookie during training camp. But now, I don't think he watches the episode for real. Actually, I'm being honest. He obviously doesn't watch. But like the speed, the accuracy, the throwing of the downfield. Like what was his average? 10 yards a pass. 10 yards a pass. 123 quarterback rating. But not just that, like about the stature itself. Bryce Young showing that not only is he, you know, he's tough up here, and of course, he had a event this week after the loss to the Saints, a brutal loss, maybe the worst loss in the last couple of years. Talking about mental health. Obviously, his dad's a psychologist, his mom's a teacher. He's talking about mental health, keeping the mental ready, keeping the mental healthy. Man, that must have seemed like a literal therapy session for him just to talk about that, get it off his chest. Obviously, he wasn't talking about the game. He was talking about other things that are bigger than the game. But he came out there, and I don't know what mental gymnastics he did to shake that game off. He came out like a man on a mission. Like that. Obviously, that first drive, they find the end zone. They get the touchdown. And then the Falcons just storm right back. And at that point, I was like, oh, here we go again. You know, the Falcons tied up at 7, and then they make it 21-7 at one point. The Panthers get a field goal to end the half. And you're like, okay, what kind of game is this going to be? Is this team going to do anything? Like, are they going to be able to rebound? Like, they came off the tough loss against the Saints. They come out there. They do the same old scripted first drive play that ends up in a touchdown, which is, yeah, no doubt, awesome, super great to see. But then the defense, and I was messaging other Panther fans, like, of course, the day that Bryce actually looks kind of on point, the defense decides to have a negative game, and then they allow the Atlanta Falcons to run all over them. I think Michael Penix had, it was Drake London had 101 yards already in the first half, looking absolutely wide open on every single opportunity. I'm texting friends, like, what's up with the zone? Like, why complete zone coverage, no man, no blitz, nothing, just, don't beat us over the top. But guess what? They were beating us over the top. They were beating us also right up the middle. And I just thought, what does this team have in its bag right now? And I guess that in that bag was Bryce Young. And to add insult to injury to the score itself, Bryce Young gets hurt. But I didn't even talk about the score. Bryce Young gets hurt. He gets rolled up on, his ankle's out. He gets not carted off. He walks up with his own power. And then I'm like, okay, it's just one of those games. Like, this is the season. Like, it's falling apart right before our eyes. Carbon copy from last week. Great first drive. Defense lets up a stinker, and the offense just can't keep up. It is 21-7. Like, normally the Panthers, when they're down by that, there's really not much the offense can do, because what we had seen, the lack of passing downfield, Bryce Young looking kind of overwhelmed, and then he gets rolled up on. Ankle down. He is down. I've never seen him looking like in that much pain before. He goes to the locker room. We're like, okay, it's Andy Dalton time. Andy Dalton time. The season's basically done. And Bryce was at his last play as a Carolina Panther. Who knows what happens? He comes back. He is spatted the heck up like it's 1988, and I don't know what they shot him with, probably 8,000 things of total roll, but he's back out there, and something switched. Now, I'll tell you this. I'm not Bryce Young, and I don't know what he's thinking, but when I played football, when I played rugby, I don't really get into the game for some reason until I either lay someone out or someone lays me out. Most likely, it's them laying me out. I can taste the blood in the back of my mouth. I'm kind of dizzy, and this is before concussions actually were a thing. And then I get really into the game. I don't know if this set Bryce Young up. He's like, I am not going to go out like this. Because then after that, he was a man on a mission. First of all, he had a mission to get back on the field, and he was on the field. Like, we didn't even get see a single play from Andy Dalton. Bryce Young out there, and he was dialed the F in. And it looks like everybody rallied for Bryce. Like, the toughness that he showed to come back out there. We already had a high ankle sprain, came back after just a week, and then he's back after like a drive. And then he's out there, and you got contributions from everybody. Tetcher McMillan, he's the guy. He's the darn guy. Tetcher McMillan, 130 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns. That was his coming out party. Also, talking about those mean tweets, yards after the catch, yak, 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 yak. We were yapping about yak, yak, yak this. What happens? Tetcher McMillan, catch, 39 yards, book it, almost to the house. Xavier Liga, 4 catches, 83 yards, average 20.8 yards per catch, and a touchdown. The longest was 36 yards. Talking about yak, just yak, 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 just everybody, like Dave Canales, Bryce Young, the wide receiver room, everybody. Just like, look at this, like 448 yards receiving total, obviously, because he had 448 yards passing, but Tetcher McMillan, 130 yards, 2 touchdowns. Xavier Liga, his coming out party, hopefully his hip is okay, 83 yards, a touchdown. Rico Dowdle, the true multi-purpose back with the Carolina Panthers, no disrespect to Chuba Hubbard. As a Canadian, I hate to say this, but man, that guy's somewhat of a liability in the passing game, despite the fact that he gets a lot of shots of him taking photos, getting photos of him with the jugs machine. Man still can't catch in pressure situations. Tommy Tremble, always been a Tommy Tremble guy. Jalen Coker, clearly his best game as a Carolina Panther this year, coming back from injury. He had some pretty clutch catches. Mitchell Evans, he should potentially be tight end 1. Just the physical presence that he is, the big target that he is. Just awesome stuff. Awesome stuff in the receiving core. I don't want to give David Tepper credit, but when they drafted Bryce, he's talking about him being a point guard, blah, blah, blah. It's always brought up. And it's only good if you have a point guard that has weapons to actually dish the ball to. And today, all the weapons came out to play. Every single one of them. Not saying they hadn't been putting in effort, but today, maybe it's because Bryce going down and they don't want their season to end. Like, there's still many, many months of football still left to go. They don't want to play for nothing. Like, right now, the Panthers are doing their damn thing, and there's like, hey, if he's out here playing in excruciating pain, the broadcast were talking about how he was in serious pain out there. We gotta play for 9. We gotta play for 9. And we're not just going to catch the ball and go down like a ton of breaks. We're going to catch the ball. We're going to run. And that's what TMAC did. Xavier Liga, so happy for him. It was almost a redo of the touchdown from last week, which is completely missed. Bryce, it was actually a perfect ball, but Xavier Liga over the shoulder didn't extend his arms. I'm no wide receiver coach, but it looked like that was a catchable ball. And they threw almost the exact same pass to XL. He caught it. I haven't seen Dollar Bill in a long time, but Dollar Bill made an appearance, and I was just so happy to see that. But Bryce just showing the poise from last week, turning the page, and just not just turning the page and winning, turning the page, and for the first time, I feel like in his career, they won this game because of Bryce. He put that Cam Newton Superman jersey on, and put it on, maybe tucked it in his helmet, and he got this team. He was like, hey, I got us. There's nowhere else I want to be, which is literally what he said before the game. And he got this team, put him on his back, and he chucked it. He had faith in TMAC. He had faith in XL, Coker, Mitchell, everybody. He was feeling it. And that last touchdown to Tetra McMillan, like, I hope we see that for the next 10 years. Yeah, I'm talking about Bryce being the quarterback for the next 10 years. There's obviously still a lot to be determined about this team, about this quarterback. But today, that was easily his best game as a pro. The poise he showed coming back from injury, coming back from last week, and just exploding. 448 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, no fumbles, nothing. And hell, if this is what we talked about last week, he's got the improved weapons. Imagine if the offensive line had Robert Hunt and Taylor Moton and everybody back, and not Chandler Zavala, who potentially lost the Panthers the game. Thankfully, he didn't. That was not a costly mistake. I would totally see him being released if they lost this game, because him making multiple mistakes, stepping on Bryce's foot, all that stuff, not converting on 4th and 1. But we're not talking about that now. We're just talking about the fact that this is a team where he should be succeeding. He should be having games like this week in and week out. That the offensive line is doing their work. They're doing what they can. It's not perfect, but how could it be with like 9 different combinations? But the receivers that they have, the running back that they have, even though Rico had 45 points, 45 rushing yards, he has to have games like this. But when everything is clicking, T-Mac, XL, Coker, Mitchell, JT Sanders, even Tommy Tremble, like, he can do it. He showed us. We're seeing it right now. He can play like that. He can push it down the field. I haven't seen the passing chart, but he can do it. And now I don't want to look into next week. I want to enjoy 24 hours. But I didn't see the post game. I haven't seen what Dave Connell said in the locker room, but I had my issue with them getting a victory Monday. I don't know if he's going to do that again. I don't know if that's going to show immaturity. But you're playing the San Francisco 49ers in Northern California on Monday, from what I believe. And that is not a game that you can afford, in my opinion, a victory Monday. I don't think you get a victory Monday. Yes, you beat a division rival. Yes, you swept them. But you can't afford a victory Monday. You got to dial in. You got a little bit extra day. Maybe that will grant them maybe a victory Monday. Get some time off. But you got to come back, even though they still go to the facility. They just kind of go on their own time. But you can't be like, that was our Super Bowl. You know, we swept the Falcons. Yay us. No. You are now 6-5. I think you are a 1 game back. Are they 1 game back or half a game back? Yeah, you are 1 game back. Someone do tell me if my math is right, but they are nipping at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers' heels right now, who have now lost 2 straight to AFC East opponents, and the exact same opponents that the Panthers lost in completely different fashion. But you have a chance to really make some noise and get people talking again. But you can't let this one get to your head. You got to, sure, okay, for the players, victory Monday, but dialed victory Monday. And then Tuesday, it is a huge deal because you're playing the San Francisco 49ers in the exact same stadium you lost Super Bowl 50, even though none of these guys besides J.J. Jansen were there. You're taking on San Francisco 49ers, Christian McCaffrey. You're back in California, Dave Canales, T-Mac, BY. You're out there, and then you're going to be taking on the LA Rams. Like, it's not getting any easier from here. You have 1 more game against the Saints. That's it. You got it. It's business, straight business. This is a young team. I talked to my guy Cliff. Love him. He doesn't know what to make of this team. This is a young team. It's an inconsistent team. They got to learn certain things, including winning. They know how to handle losses, that's for sure. How do you handle winning? Bryce, you had 448 yards, 3 touchdowns. Are you going to have that against San Francisco 49ers with Coach Salah at the defensive coordinator helm? Probably not. You're not going to have 448 yards and 3 touchdowns. How are you going to deal with that? How are you going to deal with this better team, again, on the road, who's going to probably, again, stuff the run, ask Bryce to beat them, the same way the Atlanta Falcons did. Bryce made him pay. You got to do the same thing. Just massive stuff from Bryce, massive stuff from the offense. Just so much grit, so much guts. Let's now switch to the defense. Jero Avero, I wanted him fired. on and fired. I'm like, you are sticking to this zone thing like it's like there's a gun to your head. And he made the adjustments. Why did it take a full half? I don't know. But he made the adjustments. You know, Nick Scordon, I didn't mention him last Sunday, but he is a star in the making. He is doing his damn thing. He had first round grade for a reason. He is wreaking havoc. He brought down Bijan Robinson like he's a little kid. He's putting pressure on the quarterback. Michael Penix, who is a larger quarterback than Bryce Young, by the way, he's out. Like, he was out with a knee injury. He has injury problems. Him, Anthony Richardson, CJ Stroud, like guys who are bigger than Bryce can't stay healthy, knock on wood. Bryce is out there like an Iron Man. I don't know what the hell he's taking. I don't know what he's drinking. But Nick Scordon taking the quarterback out of the game. Prince Emmanuel doing his damn thing. Even Christian Roseboom playing hard. Derek Brown, still a menace, as always. Just DJ Wonham, haven't heard his name in a while, but he came out and do his darn thing. J.C. Horn, stupid PI call on him, but he laid the boom a couple times. Hey, Corey Thornton laid the smack down like he did in preseason, have a couple pass breakups as well. It's just the half, I don't know what it was. I don't know what they were told in the locker room. The offense shaped up, the defense shaped up. Something about this game, I was talking to a couple of Panther fans via text. I was like, hey, I still think they got it. When they started really making moves in the second half, and the fact that Bryce came back, I don't know. This team just transformed in the second half. Again, they're a young team, one of the youngest teams in the NFL. They were 5-5 going in this. They're 6-5. They're nipping on the Buccaneers' heels. How long is it going to be in this kind of situation? Probably not long. We don't know. But they're inconsistent. They got to learn a couple things. And hopefully, after beating Green Bay in Lambeau, they learn a couple things that in the NFL, it's a week-to-week league. You can't pat yourself on the back for 5 straight days. You beat the Falcons. You swept them. You made them look like fools. You blew them out earlier in the year. And now you beat them in excruciating fashion in overtime at home. Raheem Morris and company, Michael Penix, this is kind of like a legacy changer for them. Does he stay on as head coach? Because they put in a lot of weapons, a lot of money, not only to Kirk Cousins, but then eventually drafting Michael Penix, thinking he's going to be the future. This guy can't stay healthy. And then when he is healthy, sometimes he throws away the game or he has just horrible, horrible days. So a lot of questions for them, kind of the same way would have been the Panthers if they lost today's game in horrible fashion without Bryce Young being injured. But this is huge. Is this a turning point for the team? Can they use the previous letdown against the Saints after coming off a win in Green Bay as a teaching lesson after beating the Falcons? Yes, they had 3 wins, but beating the Falcons at home in the context of coming up after that Saints game and just keeping all gas, no brakes. That don't be satisfied. Move on. Learn how to win. Have a win streak against some pretty decent opponents coming your way. And I think that'll say a lot. And Bryce's confidence is good, but I already can tell just the way he is. He's not going to get too high, not too low, but he's got to feel pretty darn good. Same with TMAC. Same with Xavier Leggett. I hope he's healthy because you're going to need all your weapons against the 49ers in prime time. Everybody watching. Just massive. It's going to be a massive test for them, and I hope they enjoy it. I hope you guys enjoy it, and I know I'm going to stay away from NFLshop.ca because that's when I get crazy. Let me know in the comments below. How do you feel about Bryce? Best game ever of his career? Is this a turning point for the Panthers? Let me know.